two, one.
Welcome in, Husker Extra 2-minute drill. I'm Parker. There's Sipple. He's media, practice pass. We swung by practice after practice. It was scrimmage day, Sipple, over there on Wednesday. I believe it's the 11th practice of spring ball for Nebraska. And sometimes you get glowing reports out of those scrimmages. Not so much today from the Nebraska offensive assistants that we talked to, Sean Beckton and Greg Austin.
Yeah, those guys are like Sean Beckton is really, really illuminating on just about any subject. And right away, there was no leading question. The question was just how did the scrimmage go? Essentially, that was the question.
Yeah.
And he said the defense pretty much from the first play on had the advantage over the offense. That they brought the intensity, the offense didn't. And he said, now it's really important to note, Parker, that this has been a back and forth spring. It's not like the defense has done this all spring. The offense has had its great days too. Today happened to be a day for the defense. And, he said, we'll bounce back, but we definitely need to learn from it.
We had a long chat with Greg Austin, 15 minutes. He held court and was, like you said, I mean, Greg's the same way, always illuminating when he talks. And one of the questions he was asked was sort of another general question, have you got accomplished what you wanted to get accomplished this spring? And I thought his answer sounded like a coach who was coming off sort of a rough outing in the scrimmage. But I think it also speaks to a larger point about how spring football is looked at. And he just said, no, I mean, you're never exactly where you want to be. So it's always an ongoing process. You're not like, there's a checklist of, hey, we want to see this combination and rep this and install this, but there's not like where you want to be. He was sort of like, well, I mean, even if we're as good as we want to be today, then we got to be better than that tomorrow. So he said the same thing. He thought that there was just a lack of consistency overall on offense in the scrimmage. But he said the offense has had enough good days so far in spring that you can look at this in perspective sort of today and say, how do we put that in the rear view and then make sure it doesn't happen again or you eliminate it or whatever. So what else was interesting? Simple, you heard Sean Beckton talk about Thomas Fidone and the way he's sort of come on recently in that time.
Well, he had his best day today. Thomas Fidone, the 4-star tight end recruit, top tight end recruit in the nation for his recruiting class. Beckton said he had his best day as a Husker today. He said he had 4 or 5 catches, was physical as a blocker. He's learning that part of it. It was an interesting discussion. He said that Fidone came in and had to understand he wasn't going to be the best guy in the room. So there was a sort of a acclimation period that was probably a little rough, but I guess the moral of the story is he hung in there and he made progress, and it all culminated today in an excellent performance for the young tight end and an otherwise rough day for the offense.
It's amazing, that conversation, that arc that you just sort of outlined. And obviously he's only at the very beginning of his college career, but you're talking about 3 months, right? From the time he got on campus to sort of hanging in there through some adversity and then showing that he can play at this level. Matt Sichterman is on the 5-year version of that plan. He's a 5th-year guy, and he's in line to maybe start at right guard this year. Greg Austin, and we heard from Matt Sichterman today. Greg Austin said he's really proud of the work that Sichterman's put in. He's a guy that could have left, could have gone and done something else. Obviously, he was recruited by a different coaching staff, has been exclusively a backup for his whole career, but he's really grabbed the bull by the horns in that right guard job. There's no guarantee he's going to win it. Brant Banks is a good player, young player, ascending player, I think, in the eyes of the coaching staff. But Sichterman's really put himself in a good position there. He talked about himself as being a technician. He's a strong guy. He's a Division I offensive
big dude,
lineman,
big dude.
But he says, I'm a technician. I'm athletic enough. We get out with the guards in Nebraska's system. You don't have to be like Brant Banks. You don't have to be 6'7" and 315 pounds to get the job done. Ethan Piper is a big human being, but he's 6'4" and 300 pounds. And Sichterman's kind of in that range, but they like what he's done. And that's going to be a hot competition now, Sichterman and Banks going forward. And it's going to be really interesting to see who prevails there. But I think it's safe to say that Nebraska is really going to count on both of those guys when the fall rolls around.
Yeah, so things are whipping into shape on the offensive line. Greg Austin said that when he first got here, that he really had only 5 guys that he could rely on. Now he has 9. You're going to get into a story about that probably today, who those 9 guys are and kind of who he talked about in that group.
Yeah. Yep. Fascinating thoughts from Greg Austin as usual. Same from Sean Beckton. Heard from a bunch of offensive linemen. And don't miss today's Red Report because Baz was in on the little scrum with Connor Culp, who apparently, I haven't heard what he said yet, but apparently has a hilarious story about Daniel Cherney, the freshman Australian punter, not knowing how football worked when he got to the U.S.
Yeah,
this summer.
we continue to have an amazing amount of information. I mean, we're really blessed that Nebraska's. I mean, we have enough content probably to get us to the spring game right now. So read the site.
So bless up and check HuskerExtra.com for all the latest. Thanks for watching.